This show is sponsored in part by Miss Meow Clothing, offering quality custom clothing for the entire family. Coming soon. Brought to you by Miss Cat. Survival Mode Disengaged, hosted by Miss Cat, starts now only on Stunner Radio, the heart and soul of the culture.
Okay, well, hello, everybody. It is me, Miss Cat. I am super excited about today's show because, first of all, the guest that I have is personal to me, and so I can't wait for you guys to meet her. But one other thing that I do want to mention today, because today's show is mental health is wealth, and this is part one. And I think one of the things that we need to do to help with our mental health is to encourage ourselves. That's just my tip. I just made that up just now. But I just want to shout out myself. Today is September 24th, which is Miss Cat TV Day in the city of Houston. And guys, I had this accolade since 2016, so this ain't nothing that just started yesterday, okay? You know, I know they've just been giving out days here in the city, but my day actually has been in existence since 2016. So I just wanted to give myself a little kudos and encourage myself, because I have put in a lot of work and effort into just putting the city on in regards to production, film, music, so on and so forth. I think to date, I have helped thousands of individuals start their career or see themselves on a big screen or on TV or hear themselves on the radio. So, kudos to that. So shout out to Miss Cat TV Day in the city of Houston. But that is, yes. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the show. Again, this is Mental Health is Wealth. I'm super excited because I think that with wealth, we forget about this concept. And so I definitely want to talk about that. But before we do, as per our custom, we are going to roll into our first segment, which is a romantic walk to the bank. Now, I just want to say that I personally, as I put these segments together, I'm like, do these people really want to hear this information? Do they really want this? But I have been getting an overwhelming response of the knowledge that you guys have been receiving. And I know that you guys are digging it. So these segments are about 5-6 minutes long. But if you're taking notes and if you're paying attention, you can definitely get some great jewels, some great nuggets that sometimes people can turn it into an actual business. So we're going to roll into the romantic walks to the bank. And then from there, we're going to talk to our great special guests.
Let's take a stroll and put some extra money in your pocket. Welcome to Romantic Walks to the Bank.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Miss Cat, and this is one of my favorite parts of the show where we get to take a romantic walk to the bank. Here, I'm going to show you a trick or tip on how you can earn some extra money outside of your 9-to-5. Now, it's not going to make you rich, but it's definitely going to help you put some extra funds in your pocket. So grab your pen and paper and take notes, because I walk fast and you need to keep up.
Now let's get started. Before anything else, let's take a look at how much we can possibly earn using this method. If we go to Amazon.com and search for Kindle ebooks, we will see a lot of people selling these ebooks for a decent amount of money. Scrolling down, we will see that there are more listings, and the list goes on and on. This just means that there are a lot of people earning tons of money using this method, and you can too. Let's try to calculate how much a single person earns money using this method. One ebook costs around $14.99, and as many as 33,000 people reviewed this ebook, which means that they had bought this ebook. If you go to a calculator and enter 14.99 multiplied by 33,000, we get approximately 500,000 earnings. This person selling this ebook made around 500,000, which is a single ebook. That is indeed a lot of money. Now the website we will be using to make these ebooks is called vissme.com. In your default browser's address bar, type in vissme.com and you should see this page. As you can see right here, this is a tool that will be used to create neat, professional, and beautiful ebooks. They're not just a tool, they're the whole workshop, and you can see an example of what ebooks they make right here. We can earn money by selling an ebook just like this one, and in today's video, we will be teaching you how to do just that. The first step is to select a ready-made template. The second step is to edit the ready-made template. You can change texts, font, style, font size, and many more. The last step is to download your newly made ebook and earn tons of money online. Now, in order to start earning money with this method, you must go up and hover your mouse onto Create, and then click Documents, and you should see this page right here. Now on this page, you can start creating documents, which in turn will become your own ebook. You can see right here that this is completely free. You don't need to pay even a cent to use this tool. Make professional visual documents in minutes, easy to customize documents and reports, get all the templates, charts, tables, and assets you need, create documents and reports. You can be proud of scrolling down. You will see countless examples of documents that you can create using this platform. Now, in order to start creating your own document, click on Create Your Free Document. After that, it will ask you to sign up with your email address, Google, or Facebook. Now, we will be choosing to sign up using our email address. It will ask us to enter our full name, email address, and password. Click on Register. Regardless of what you choose to create your account, they will ask you what you want to use this. For our purpose, let's just choose Personal. After that, you will see the dashboard right here. Before we proceed with the steps, if this video fits your interests and you're enjoying this journey so far, make sure to like this video and feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Now continuing on. As we've said, this is your dashboard here. You can create different kinds of design, such as reports, plans, proposals, magazines, resumes, cover letters, white papers, media press kits, newsletters, ebook surveys, lesson plans, report cards, brand guidelines, training manuals, press releases, case studies, lead magnets, performance reviews, catalogs, and employee handbooks. Now for this method, we will be choosing ebooks. Go on and click on ebooks button. After clicking, there will be a lot of templates that you can choose from. As you can see, there are tons of templates that you can use, and it is already made, so you can use it right away with minimal charges. As you can see on Amazon, there are a lot of categories of ebooks for us to choose from. Now we suggest sticking with health, nutrition, diet, and fitness, as these categories are really profitable and simple. What you want to do is select a template that is suitable for that type of category. After finding the template you want to use, you can click on Preview to check out the template. As you can see, this is a fitness ebook, and you can see the cover page and its content right here. This is perfect for the type of ebook we want to create. Now, click on Use this template, and it will take us to the page where you can edit the template. On the right side of the screen, we can see the different pages of the ebook. Now on the left is where you can actually edit the book. In order to make changes to the element, just click on an element you want to edit, and you can then change the text, color, size, and etc. You can also put your name onto the ebook right here. Everything can be changed, so feel free to do as you wish. After you're satisfied with the ebook, you can go to the upper right corner of the screen and click on Download. You can then download your ebook by clicking on the Download button right here. Now, we will be showing you a website that you can copy ebooks from in your address bar. Type in freeplrdownloads.com. This website lets you download free ebooks. This website features different categories of ebooks you can choose from. On the left side, you can see the different categories. Click on Health, as this is our desired category. You can now choose any of these ebooks you like and click on them. After clicking, it should take you to this page here. It describes the content of the ebook and its details. Scrolling down, we will see the Download button. Go ahead and click on Download. You can then copy the contents of the newly downloaded ebook and paste it on your vissme.co ebook. After everything, we want to upload our newly created ebook onto Amazon Kindle. Go to kdp.amazon.com. This website lets you publish your ebook and start earning money. Now, you want to sign up on this website by clicking on Sign Up here. Just click on Create your KDP account, and it will ask your name, email address, and password. After signing up, you can then upload your ebook and make tons of cash absolutely free.
Well, this concludes this romantic walk to the bank. I'll see you next week for another tip that can put some extra cash in your pocket.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. You can start making your free ebooks and selling them. But let's roll into the topic at hand. Mental health is wealth. So let's get our guests on. I'm so excited. Hi, how are you doing today? Ooh, I'm good. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Okay, now we got you. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
So yes. And I just realized my tongue is red, y'all, so don't mind me. But yes, for those that don't know, this is, I don't even know how to describe this lady. We just gonna start from scratch. Okay. For those that don't know who you are, just introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Alicia Jackson, and if I was going to tell you who I am a lover of Black people in particular. I love people, but Black people in particular, because our community has so many opportunities to thrive. And in order to be successful at that, we have to look at our mental health. And so that's what I do. I take a look at what our community is going through, and I find the root causes of things that we can take our areas of opportunity and make them our strengths. And we can do things like learn how to forgive and release grudges and things like that, so that we can be more productive, because we have work to do. And it's pretty impossible to get I'll say our divine assignments completed when we are inundated with so much of our own ancestral karma, our ancestral toxicity and dysfunction. I like to get people to understand that, like, whatever you've done, whatever you've been through, it makes you who you are today, and you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed or guilty or any of those things, as long as you're working to move forward. So what I did was, to package that, I became a naturopath, which is an alternative care doctor, right? So in the state of Texas, they don't honor alternative medicine the way they do in other states like California or Arizona. They allow you to practice natural medicine. Here in Texas, you get to take all of the courses, but there's no licensing board for you to get licensed. So it's all certifications.
Gotcha.
And my strength in that work of natural healing is actually as a therapist. So when you come into my space, you see a lot of herbs, and I make medicine, and I do all these different things. But ultimately, my job, I feel, and my divine assignment has been to look at your mental health, to look at your energetic bodies, and see, like, what is it that you can put down and shed and release and let go, so you could vibrate at your highest frequency. So that's what I do.
Okay, all right. Look, see, this is why I don't like to do an introduction, because there's no way that I could explain it in that way.
People are like, so what are you doing? I'm just,
But no, seriously, that is phenomenal. So when we think about therapy, and I'm glad that you mentioned the lover of us, because that's what, I love everybody too, but that's what this show is for.
This is who I am. You know what I mean? Like, so I can definitely identify with my community and my culture, like, no doubt. And I connect with other cultures and other communities, but we are the ones that I know for sure I can tap into.
For sure. So when it comes to, therapy and stuff like that, why do you think it's such a stigma on getting fit? Like, why do Black folk, like, I just don't want to, I don't want people in my business. I don't want
all of that.
Like, why though? Why?
That's such a good question. And I think about it often. I think about it daily. I was thinking about it and having a discussion about it this morning. Um, we don't trust. We have no reason to trust the medical industry with any parts of our lives. We've gone in the hospital and never made it home. We've been experimented on. There are disparities in the healthcare system where we are at a disadvantage. Black women die more than any other race at childbirth. We have high rates of um, high blood pressure and diabetes, and these are diseases that we should be able to contain and really rid out of our DNA. But because the medical industry tells us three things. They say, take this medication, change your diet, and exercise. And the average person is only going to do one of those, which is take this medication. They're not going to change their diet and they're not going to exercise because they haven't wrapped around the idea that this is a complete lifestyle change. It's not a one and done type situation. And what happens is it works for a while and then a person wants to go back to what they used to do, and now it's triple the amount of weight, or they are having a harder time, and so they'll say to themselves, that doctor is not good, they didn't know what
Mm,
they were talking about. So there's a psychology behind that too, where we want to be able to blame someone else for our lack of consistency. We want to be able to pinpoint and say, the doctor said this is what I have to do. Um, and so, Black people in particular, we don't want to blame ourselves. We've been blamed enough for stuff, right? So it's easier to say the doctor said, or or I don't have to do this, or, the doctor said take this medication. Black people in particular, as far as therapy is concerned, they don't a lot of times even think that anything's wrong. They've normalized their trauma. Part of
mm.
how they grew up. It's always been this way, where I've spoken to many people that don't even realize there's dysfunction in their family unit because that's just how they've
How it
always.
is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they just don't know. Like, they think that trauma is this overt, you were getting beat every day or someone was molesting you. Sometimes trauma is like microaggressions that, somebody's turning their head the other way while something is going on. Like, there's a lot of guilt in the Black family that
Mm,
nobody wants to talk about anything because it's so painful. So to come and speak to somebody that you don't even know
hmm.
about your business,
Yeah.
um, I think sometimes Black people look at it as an admission of guilt. That if I
Mm,
go to therapy, then I'm admitting where I failed or where I went wrong, where in actuality it's the opposite. It's saying, I'm going to therapy because there is a problem and it needs to be fixed. And whatever I have to do to stand in this gap for my family, I will be the bridge for that so that these people can cross over.
for
And if
sure.
that means in the process that I get bruised and bumped and people say things to me that are hurtful, maybe those are the things that I need to hear
Hmm.
so that I can move my family forward. We don't keep recycling these experiences that are causing us harm. A lot of Black people can't even begin to say, you know what, we do need to talk to somebody. What they'll do is they'll inundate their friends. Like, your homegirl is not your therapist.
For sure.
Your homegirl should not know all of your business. Like, it's great to have good friends, but you're asking somebody to listen to you and give you advice based on the lens of their own trauma. So they're going to give you advice based off of what they would do. And that's not necessarily what needs to be happening. So therapy becomes important. So you have somebody who has can give you a different point of view with nothing tied to it. It's an objective perspective.
For sure. For sure. So I know that, in your therapy, I know that it's holistic,
Yes.
so for those that just don't understand what that
Good
means,
morning.
what
Yes.
like what does that mean? Holistic therapy.
Therapy. Okay. So you have 4 different bodies. Okay. And they're layered. So you have your spiritual body, you have your emotional body, you have your mental body, and you have your physical body. All of these bodies speak to each other and they move in tandem. There's an ecosystem that keeps them all intact. If mentally you are exhausted, then your spiritual, emotional, and physical bodies are going to overcompensate for what the mental body cannot do. In that overcompensation, it knocks everything off balance. So, what begins to happen, it'll hold itself together for a while, and then the emotional body is going to drop down. Now, not only are you scrambled in your mind, but now your heart hurts. So now the physical body and the spiritual body are trying to compensate, which means that you might be trying to like pray it out of you. You're trying to pray, you're trying to figure it out, God, please, so on and so forth, but nothing is budging, nothing is moving. Your physical body, you're saying, like, I feel so tired, I feel so heavy, I want to work out, but I can't. I go to the park and I walk and I do this and I can't get it together. And it's because you need to address the mental part and the emotional part. So once you address the body that's really out of tune, then everything else will fall into place. So pain is information. If you have an ache in your body somewhere, it's usually emotional in nature. So holistically, we don't just look at, if you come to me and you say, Alicia, I've been having these chest pains, I don't know what's going on. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, well, go see your physician. Let's make sure you're not having a heart attack. So I'm not a replacement for diagnostic testing. I'm not a replacement for you finding out what the problem is from a medical doctor. I'm the person that you come to after you find out your diagnosis, and I can tell you the emotional reasons that are tied to that. So if you're experiencing heart pain and you're a relatively healthy person, what that says to me is that emotionally, your heart may be broken in a way that instead of you facing that emotion of pain and hurt, you move past it so you can get on with your life. And now it's starting to cause discomfort until you address it. And so if that means that you have to come to therapy and fall out on the floor and cry, so we can allow that emotion to pass through. Because when we talk about emotions, the main word in that is motion. It needs to move, right? If you sit in it, it's going to start causing damage. And so you're going to end up with heart palpitations and anxiety and so on and so forth. But here in the healing space, you may need to lay on the floor today while we're talking. And just so that you can ground yourself. Or I've taken people in the backyard where we take off our shoes and we just stand there and talk in the grass, because you don't get an opportunity to do these very simple things because you're coming out of the house, into the garage, into your car, to your destination, into the building, and the fluorescent lights, under the AC, and then you come back home that way. Like, you don't get a chance to really, like, get into nature. And so holistically is about tapping into nature and bringing those elements into your space so that you're creating an environment that innately your body understands. And so once you can get in the habit of doing that, the rest of your body will release. It'll just, like, so many people are walking around with clenched jaws. Their fists are balled up. Everybody's in a rush. My job is to take those people and slow them down.
So when we say mental health is wealth, what does that mean to you?
What that means to me is that if mentally you are sound, then emotionally you cannot be manipulated. It means that physically your body is going to run at optimal levels, and you have a strong sense of spirituality within yourself. So in terms of spirituality, it doesn't mean that you're going to church every Sunday. It doesn't mean that you're praying a certain amount of time. It's not so much about ritual as it is about making that connection, however you need to do it, whatever that looks like for you. It means that emotionally, someone can say something to you and it doesn't make you come undone because
Mm,
you're emotionally stable. Like you're able to regulate your emotions. You know what calls for your attention and what really doesn't. You know what you have time for and what you don't. You don't allow people from the outside to pressure you into feeling a certain way. I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying to me that they knew that I didn't deal with them because they had some addictions and so on and so forth. And I was like, whoa, I never said that.
mm,
But their emotions are so dysregulated. And maybe somebody did say that to them one day and they were never able to get that out of their head. They believe that everybody feels that way about them. And that's an emotional, there's a regulation that needs to happen in that emotion to where now you're sitting in front of somebody and you're telling me what I think about you.
mm.
Can't, there's no way possible that you can do that unless you ask me. But because you're so disconnected from your emotions, you just you feel so guilty about the choices
Mm,
you make that you believe that everybody thinks that about you. And so that's a dysregulation. And then you have your physical health. So you can work out all you want, but if you're not dealing with your mental and emotional, spiritual health, the pounds are not coming off.
wow.
They're not. They're going to stay. And you'll be like, I don't know why I can't get rid of my stomach. And the stomach is an indicator of like your intuition being off and dysregulated, you not using your discernment for what you know you're supposed to use it for, overconsumption of things like alcohol and rich foods, which are emotional in nature. Like you choose
Yep.
certain foods based on how you feel.
Yep.
And so until you can regulate, so like for me, I tend to crave a lot of sweets, and that's a mother energy. And so, because I had a different type of upbringing, like my mother was around, but she wasn't always available. And so, having that gap, I craved a lot of sweets to compensate for that nurturing mother energy. As I'm getting older and my relationship with my mother is more healed than it's ever been, I'm now craving savory foods because of the absence of a father.
Got you.
So, but because I have that information,
Yes.
um, I know what's happening at any given time. That if I'm eating excessive sweets, I need to nurture myself and pamper myself like I'm a little girl and mother myself. And it's okay for me to have these feelings and it's okay for me to engage with these feelings, but I need to know why. Why am I doing this? So that's part of the holistic piece.
And that's what I appreciate, about you, because of course I wouldn't have you on my show unless I advocate and I can vouch for those type of things.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I definitely appreciate that, because once you know, then you can do better. You know what I'm saying? And that I think that's part of the plight, is that people just don't know.
You
You
know.
don't know
Mhm.
certain things, and that's why I appreciate people like you that help us to be aware, so that way, like you said, when you have those sweet cravings, you know why. You know why you
Yeah.
want a whole thing of chips and all. We understand these things, and we know
Right.
how to combat them. So that's definitely
Mhm.
what I appreciate. And then, of course, if your mental health is not right, it's kind of like, what profited a man to gain the whole world, right? Like they say. And
Mhm.
then, but you so off
You out
kilter,
of your
you
mind. So
so
you look
off
at
balance, like
what
you
you
can't.
think. Howard Hughes has all this money, one of the richest men in the world, and he was just like isolated himself in his home, never came out, and he just deteriorated. And it's like, how sad is that? That is so sad. And again, going back to being Black, um, I just don't want to see Black people suffer. anymore, and we don't have to suffer anymore. We really don't have to. We have an opportunity to choose our programming, which is a huge thing in mental health, is like, what are you consuming? What are you watching? What are you scrolling through on your phone? What's in your algorithm? Those
Mm,
are the things where I've had to tell some people who feel very left out, who feel like they're not living up to their fullest potential, who feel like they missed out on life or whatever because maybe some traumatic events have happened. What's on your algorithm? Because if you feel like you're missing out, it's because you're just watching people live it up. And they
mm,
might not even be living it up. It's just the way that you're perceiving the information because it's in this little incubator on
yeah.
this little screen. Whereas where I'm sitting now, you could be like, oh, okay, that is gorgeous, but you don't know where I'm sitting. It's your perception.
Exactly.
You don't know if I could be sitting in a closet right now. You just would not know.
Exactly.
But I can make you believe anything I want you to believe, and that's what social media does. So what I recommend is for mental health is start following pages that feed you. Start
Hmm.
following pages, like stop following so many people that you know, because if you really know them, you're gonna holler at them anyway.
Exactly.
Right? You don't need to keep up with their lives, because if you really know them and they're in your circle like that, you don't need to follow them on social media. But what you do need is for social media, use it as a tool to raise your vibration. Now, darkness is necessary. Like low vibrations are necessary for you to be able to measure and gauge where you want to be. So I'm not out here saying that everything is all light and love, because it's not. You need to do shadow work. You need to get in the thick of your darkness and figure out who you are. You need to be able to grow from the darkness. You need those moments of dark time, right? Because it's a time of like regeneration. And you also need to shed and let things die off, and that happens in the darkness. So as we're approaching fall, you'll see the leaves shedding and so on and so forth. We're no different than that. We have to do the same thing. We also have to go into our darkness, and we got to be real with ourselves about what we've been up to.
Hmm.
But not just what has happened to us, but what we've done to other people. We need to be real about our secrets, and we need to bring that stuff to the surface. And it's going to cause a lot of discomfort. But when you're free of things, you can accomplish a lot more for the people that you say that you love.
Hmm.
Begin to realize that the people that you love expands outside of your family unit, because when you're lighter and you've worked through that darkness and you've forgiven yourself and you're not holding grudges and you just really don't care what people think, you start understanding that your purpose is so much bigger than what people are talking about on a day to day. And it gives you an opportunity to like be well. Like you will immediately know when something is off in your body. Like you'll know. And so once you can get to that point and you do your shadow work, then at that point you're ready for whatever, however you identify the divine source, God, the universe, like whatever it is, you're ready to accept that assignment. And then I think you really get an opportunity to look at your blueprint, like what you came here for.
For
And so
sure.
yeah, and so it's just so helpful to know like what energy is good for you and what is not. But you gotta look at your algorithm, because
Yeah.
like I want to watch, there's this show on Netflix, I want to watch Dahmer, but I'm not going to watch it.
Mm.
Not going to watch it. And I'm
Cause
very curious about the psychology behind, and I love Niecy Nash and all of that, but I have a lot of things that I need to get done.
yeah.
That's going to change my vibration and frequency, and I don't need to be in that space. That's part of consumption.
Somebody asked, just because they said, what if you have a mate that has bad energy? Should you just disconnect? That's what they're asking. I
So
guess that's a long-winded
no,
question.
no, it's actually very simple. I would ask, if you know that your partner has bad energy, what kind of energy do you have? So they can have, I mean, that's you're there with them. So what is that? What is your energy like? Y'all are not different. You're together because you mirror each other. It just may show up in a different way. And the things that we judge are the things that we need to look at within ourselves. So if this person is showing up with bad energy in a way that irritates you, then how are you mirroring that same energy? Like, how can I say this? The only way that people will change is if you change how you're engaging with them. My energy was bad too. Oh, well, then it's time to go.
Yeah. So
you can't force development on people.
yeah. So basically, I guess, like you said initially, like if you guys are both projecting bad energy on each other, then that's something that you guys both have to deal with. But if you get to this point where you're working on yourself and that other person is still in the same place, then it is time,
It's time
in
to
essence,
go.
to
It's time to
disconnect.
go. Yeah.
For sure.
And here's what I want to say about that too is you will waste a lot of time trying to wait for somebody to catch up or seeing their potential. We don't waste our time and potential. It'll be 10 years will pass by and you'll still be they'll be telling
Yeah,
you the same thing.
Mama taught me a lot about that. Look, and when I say Mama, I'm talking about Miss Alicia. Look, we have a lot of conversations about
And
that. So we don't do potential over here.
We don't
baby.
do potential. And here's the thing: it's like you meet some amazing people, and you see how great they can be. But if they don't have the confidence and the self-esteem to really do those things, then you have to move on from that. Like, a lot of people talk a good game, like they have you believing that they're about to like really do some things, but when it comes down to execution, they may not show up for themselves, and that becomes dead weight for you. Life is heavy enough.
For real.
Carry somebody else.
Exactly.
Why
and
would you look? Yeah, like if they shut down and this was the apocalypse, right? And the whole world shut down, you have children, like you already got to carry them along, right? And motivate them and encourage them. Like, if we have to get up and walk 100 miles, the last thing is you need is a partner who is negative with bad energy. And sometimes that 100 miles is mental. Sometimes that 100 miles is emotional work. Sometimes that 100 miles is developing your own style of communication with each other that only the two of you understand. Wow. And if a person is not open enough to develop those types of languages and systems to keep in place to keep you close and whole, then what are you doing? That's not where you want to be. You got to be where people are, where people are evolving. They're evolving. You want to be where progress is being made. But again, I want to say this. I think this is important to say. So, like, let's say we're on levels, right? We're going to the next level. We love going to the next level, but there's certain things that you have to acquire before you can go to the next level. So sometimes in partnerships, it starts doing this, right? Like one person may be going a little bit quicker than the other, and then maybe you may meet each other again, like who knows. But you're allowed to stop at whatever level you want to be at. You don't have to keep going. So you always have to keep in mind that just because you want to go more levels and your partner does not, they don't have to. Maybe they're happy right here.
Wow.
And you can keep going, but that means there's just going to be more space in between the two of you. And at some point, you have to make an executive decision about, is this person going to be able to withstand where I'm going? Are they going to be able to move in the circles that I'm about to go into? Are they going to be a liability? Do they have the self-esteem and the confidence to move in these new places that I'm going into? And so that's when you have to make a decision about, is this just a friendship or is this really a partnership?
Man, whoever is tuned in right now, if you're watching this replay, look, y'all do owe Miss Jackson some cash app her some money, right? Because that's deep right there. I'm serious. That's a whole lesson right there for
Mhm.
real. Seriously. So
You're
I just
welcome.
appreciate
Yeah.
you sharing those gems and nuggets. And you answered my question already because I was just going to ask you, like, what can we do to help ourselves? But you kind of already went into that. But I do want to, before we wrap up, I do want to ask because what I appreciate is that you have a podcast. So I
Yes.
know that, of course, we can, come to you for therapy. So, guys, I'm going to give you guys, we're going to get
Mhm.
all that information at the end. So that way, if you want to book a session, it is
Yeah.
inexpensive. It ain't, you can do it through Zoom. Trust me, I know. Look, I know some of y'all used to think Miss Cat was, had some screws loose. And I'm going to be honest, I did. But, working with Miss Jackson, I'm a little bit more calm now. I'm a little bit, I'm getting it
Okay, good.
together.
I think
So
you've
with
done
that,
an amazing job
and
at just taking that
I appreciate that.
information. And, I think the clients that have the most success are the ones that come consistently, and the ones who take because we have hard conversations. Like,
Oh yeah.
you may not walk away feeling so great about our relationship after a session. It doesn't always.
Let me tell y'all this. This is just a super side. So I've been knowing Miss Jackson since I was like 20 years old, and I'm almost 40, y'all. And some of the conversations we had, I'll be like, man, I don't ever want to talk to this lady ever again in life. Like, God, look, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, it has really helped me, God knows, like,
Mhm.
seriously, because when you know where you've been or where you came from and where you are today, like, seriously, I can't even, that's why publicly I just have to say how much I love you. And I thank you for, for what you do, because it is, definitely needed. And that's why I want to mention the podcast, because I know that, some people might be on a tight budget. Maybe they can only
Yeah.
come once a month or twice a month or whatever. And yes, she does couples, just so
I
for those
do,
that,
yeah.
for those that
Couples
ask.
therapy is like one of my favorite things to do.
But I wanted to mention the podcast because this is, I feel like, if you need that dose, that's what it's called, if you
Mhm.
need that in between, therapy, right? You have
Yeah,
the podcast. So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about the podcast and what people can
Mhm.
gain from, from that.
Well, the podcast is called Microdosing with Alicia. So if you go to any of your favorite or preferred podcast platforms, that's what you'll type in. On IG, it's microdosing underscore podcast. And you can find episodes there too. So what this is based off of is I actually had one of my yoga instructor, and Baba is very kind, and he teaches yoga in a system where everything is a micro movement,
Mm,
right? So it's not like you're going to come in class and be worn out. That's not how he teaches. He teaches you to be very gentle with your body and to do things very slowly so that you can feel what's going on. So these are micro movements, right? So as I was in his apprenticeship a couple of years ago, it just dawned on me that I think we do better by taking information in micro doses. And so even when you talk about like maybe like psychedelic drugs, things that people use to help them with ADHD and other things that are dealing with their nervous system, just giving somebody a little bit of something goes much further than somebody taking too much of it. You know what I mean? So like if I was going to give someone maybe I don't know, a chamomile tea, instead of having them drink a full 8 ounces, I may just give them a concentrated drop
for sure.
that will last them the full day, right? And so using that same concept in mental health, I created a podcast called Microdosing because I wanted people to take at least 5 to 10 minutes of their moment of their day and maybe just get a quick shot of something that they can use that will move them throughout their day. I've had some people say, I just let the whole season play, and it turns out to be like an hour and a half, or something like that. And they really enjoy just like getting in and getting out, which is my personality anyway. I will rarely sit long periods of time because I do that for a living,
For
right? Like
sure.
I talk for hours on end for a living. So I was just kind of thinking, like, what can be my offering to the world for people to get something from me that they don't have to pay for? This is something that I'm giving as a gift. It's innate. It's something that I think is helpful. And I know everyone cannot get to me. I know sometimes financially it's an issue, or whatever may be going on, but at least you have this archive of
Mhm.
information. And now it's to the point where you could just go search for a topic. I'm on season 4, which is running now. And at the end of each season, there is a featured guest. So I bring someone in and I break that interview down into like 2 or 3 so that you can get microdoses of that person as well. And so it's just been a great way for me to get to know people and the things that they have to offer and share that information with the world. And then I'm also just sitting over here with all this information
Got to do something with it.
I mean, die with that, like little tidbits and things that we've talked about today that I think are great for people to know about themselves. And so this season is about your body intelligence and figuring out why your stomach is hurting, or why your spleen is stressed, or why your heart is hurting. So there's like 10 minutes of all of this stuff where you can go and just check it out, and it's fun.
Go check it out, y'all. Go check. Like, y'all want to, man, like I said, mental health is wealth, man. Y'all
Yeah.
want to really start tapping in and start changing your life for real. I hope that you guys really enjoyed Miss Jackson, because I will say that she has literally changed my life. And hopefully, with the little time that y'all have been blessed to spend with her, you guys feel the same way. So, with that being said, before we wrap up, for those that are so interested, because we got people popping all in, asking about couples therapy.
Yeah.
They want
Mhm.
some therapy. They need your
Right.
services. So how do we find you? I know you have a website.
So
Um,
I do have a website. And so if you go to the website, it's analogearthhealinghub.com. It's listed there.
okay,
Um, what you can do is you could go there and just scroll to where it says book now. And you can look through the services and see what's available. I don't know all the pricing off the top of my head, but I could tell you just like for one person for an hour, I think it's $75.
yes, it's
And then it's
$75 for an hour, y'all.
for
Come on now.
and then there's couples therapy, and there's also family therapy, which I really enjoy. And I just want to say that when you have somebody to talk to that's going to keep your privacy, that's going to create a safe space for you to say how you feel and say it how you want to say it, and it's very informal. You can come kick your feet up on the couch, you could lay back, you could do all of those things. That makes all the difference in the world. It really does. And I sit with people and I realize that there are a lot of things that they don't know about themselves because they're just integrating into the world, doing things that they feel like they're supposed to do based off of their upbringing.
Mm,
So
mm.
they don't really necessarily get a chance to be themselves. And I think we miss a lot of how beautiful people are because um, we're so busy trying to be like our parents or not be like our parents that we just forget to do our best. And that's what therapy is about. Like, just show up and do your best. And if today all you could do is just be mad, then we're here. We're going to and we'll figure out the rest later. And then I must say, before I go, there's something new that I've always done part of it. So you always get a follow up from me after your therapy session. which is me after I've had a moment to meditate about what we've talked about. I send you a follow up. And most people love that part because it gives them an opportunity to kind of recap what happened and what we talked
Yes.
about.
Yes, we do.
And so recently, through my love of music and just like sharing things, books and things like that, I've started giving homework.
Oh,
And so
okay.
people are coming back like they have to watch certain videos, or I'll even assign a specific album or a specific book. Like there's just different things that I just decided like as an artist myself that I want to start sharing how art is so healing. And
Mm,
so integrating and saying like, so I want you to go check out this art exhibit and let's have a conversation about it. And I want to know your thoughts. Like, what were you thinking? So on and so forth. So that has been really good for me because it allows me to reimagine it allows me to reimagine what mental health is, and it's really exciting. So we have some
awesome.
great art installations coming up in the city of Houston in the very near future, and I can't wait to just send everybody.
I guess I'll be going too then. Look.
Yeah, it's some great
So,
stuff. So,
so before we go, because we had one last question pop up. It
okay,
says, "What is the life purpose report? What is
okay,
that?"
great question. Thank you
Mm,
for asking. So the life purpose report it's linked to astrology. So let me explain. Astrology is your personal blueprint, right? So yes, your sun sign can be Aquarius, but you are so much more than that. So what we do is we look at your date of birth, the time you were born, and the city and state that you were born, and there's a constellation that is specific to those times and dates that only you have.
mm,
And so I can take all of that information and based off of how it lays out in the blueprint, I can give you real information about what each placement means. And I can tell you through the life purpose report what you came into this life to learn and what you came into this life to teach others. What will happen physically to your body if you don't fall in alignment with it, what ailments will come up, what will happen psychologically, and the problems that will occur if you are not following the assignment of what you came to teach people, and also what you came to learn, because you got to be a student. So it's about your life purpose report allows you to define and balance the master teacher student um,
mm.
part of your life. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, I learned something new today. They say you're supposed to learn something new every day. So,
There you
look, I
go.
just
Yeah,
learned
I'm
something
over
new.
here. It's a hub. It's a hub.
It's a hub, y'all. It's a
It's a
hub. So
hub of
I
information.
need y'all to just tap into that hub, man. And I just appreciate you so much for taking out your
Yes,
time and just
yes,
showing
yes,
us, some love today on this show, Survival Mode Disengaged,
yes.
because that's what it's all about, breaking
Hmm.
the chains, breaking these cycles. And I think mental health and therapy is definitely one of the main keys, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
I mean, definitely. Once you have that, I mean, and I keep saying this, but once you can understand and humanize another person's life, then you can move on with yours. But if you're
wow.
constantly just saying like it's her fault, it's his fault, and this is the reason why, like you cannot move forward from that. But as soon as you go, you know what, you had a bad life too. So I don't even know how we made it. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
just thank you for getting me to this spot, and I'll
For
take it
sure.
from here. And you can just start moving forward. And forgiveness is a huge thing. It's for you. It's not for the other people. It's for you. And Kat, thank you so much for having me here. I
Aw.
so appreciate you, and it's been beautiful to watch you grow. And just, I've always loved and admired your ambition.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just grateful that not only are you coming to therapy, but you are telling your friends and gifting sessions to people, and you are bringing your daughters into therapy, which I think is so important for children to get it early. Like, let's not wait until there's a problem.
Yes.
And you can work. Children are so resilient. They move a lot quicker than we do, and they bounce back so much quicker while we're just sitting in fear. The sooner we can get them healed, the better that they'll be for long periods of time.
For sure. And I appreciate it. So y'all go to the website, book your session, follow the podcast. That's all I can say. Look, we done told y'all mental health is wealth. I appreciate it yet again. So before we wrap up the show, we're gonna do our last final segment, Go Fund You, and we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. But I appreciate it yet again, and thank you so much for everything that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You can't depend on GoFundMe, so Go Fund You. Jerome Addison breaks it down now on Survival Mode Disengaged.
Here on Miss Cat segment of Go Fund You. I thank you for having me here again.
Anytime.
We're at week 3. This week here we're going to talk about, we talked about the funds, but this week we're going to talk about you.
Me? You mean you?
No, we mean you.
Okay.
So this week here, I think, it's very important for them to understand. We know they understand the goal, that they must move. They understand the fund. We find the basis for the fund. Now we got to talk about you versus me. So when we go there, you just kind of touch bases on that. How do you look at you versus me, or me versus you?
Well, I think that I am my own me, right?
Okay.
My own responsibility, right? My own person.
Yes.
Okay.
That is right. That is right. But when we're talking about the Go Fund Me and the Go Fund You, just those two words, we have to look at the power that they have, because the Go Fund Me, meaning I'm asking someone to do something for me.
You. Exactly.
When I say Go Fund You, either I'm telling you to go fund you, or you making a statement, I'm going to go fund myself.
Exactly.
The power of just removing those two words are so powerful. So let's talk about the you. Everybody think they know what you mean, but you is just a basic word. You is the one-on-ones being addressed. Who are we addressing? We're addressing you. We're addressing you. We're addressing me.
Yep.
And so when we address everyone, so now we know, in order to go fund you, that we ought to know that I must do some moving. I must not sit in the same position. The fund, I must have a basis of what I'm funding, and who am I funding? I'm funding me. So I'm not asking anyone else to take responsibility for that. That's my responsibility. And then not only that, when you say go fund you, it's not just about you, it's everything that's attached
around
to you.
Ooh, that's good.
Your generation,
that's
your lineage.
Good. That's good.
That's the power comes.
That's
because
good.
So many times we get caught in the segment and we say, well, I'm just gonna go fund me right now. So when we go to we should be addressing ourselves in aspects, but then all of the things that come with that, because it's people that are dependent on you, that you brought into the world.
For sure.
So when you fund you, what do?
Because me is inclusive of me and mine.
There you go. That's right. That's
it ain't just me. You know what I mean? So that's a great thing. So guys, look, I always got to try to break this down. So what we're saying is when you say go fund you, you're not just talking about you, because God forbid something happened to me. You is contingent on everything that's around me. That's contingent on my little girls. That's contingent on my business. That's contingent of all the things that envelop you.
That's right. That's most
great stuff. Great stuff.
And because when you kind of look at, so many times when we wake up in the morning, we are looking for a way to go make money, and we don't understand we have the ability to print money because of the talents and the gifts that we have. We have those abilities. So when you step out of the place of thinking that someone's supposed to fund you daily, because even when you go to a job every day, that job is supposed to do what? You go to work and they fund you at the end of the week. Yep. That's a comfortability. And when you remove that comfort, you say, I'm going to take responsibility for myself. So I'm going to take whatever gift and whatever talent I have, and that's how I'm going to go out and I'm going to create some wealth for that day. And so when we look at things in that aspect, what it do, it gives yourself an accountability. And you must hold yourself accountable. So man don't kill nothing. Now we got to say, woman or man that don't kill nothing, don't what?
Gonna eat.
Don't eat.
Ain't gonna eat for sure. So that's the great thing, and I love the fact that you said, like I said, you is not just you.
That's right.
It's not just me. It's everything that's around us. So, guys, we are wrapping up this segment of Go Fund You. I hope you've enjoyed it thus far. Week after week, catch us next week. But if you want to stay in touch with Jerome, how do we do that?
That's going to be hit us at this email. That's jma@newsomsinsurance.com. Again, that's jma@newsoms, NEWSOMES, insurance spelled all the way out.com.
We'll catch you next week. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Y'all know that's how we do it here at Survival Mode Disengaged. I pray and I hope that you guys got some great nuggets, some great jewels, some great gems, because that's what it's all about. It's all about us breaking the cycle, breaking the chains of survival mode. Because guess what, guys? You've already lived. You've already survived, rather. So now it's time for you to live. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm here at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday. But guys, I'll catch you next week.